Alright, what's that? First of all, we'll open the public hearing for the winter of 2023-2024 road closures, some winter maintenance, and draft Baldwin Fire Department ordinance. So, what's that?
Sure. So, who's here for the road closure issue? Anybody? Anybody here? Then I think we will just dispose of it.
Okay.
We have some recommendations and we'll vote on those next week.
Okay, yeah.
Keep it simple, right?
Yeah. And next thing is draft Baldwin Fire Department ordinance. You wanna give us some background on that?
Sure. So, for anybody who doesn't know me, I'm Steve. Steve Sanders. I'm the fire chief of your town since April. Been a pretty awesome experience so far because I've had the opportunity to help start modernizing and really become, not less than just modernizing, but making a department that's been around for 75 years a little bit more compliant with current state regulations. Save us some money and fines when we get inspected. So, this fire department ordinance actually officially qualifies us, I should say legally qualifies us as a municipal fire department versus a volunteer fire department. And your fire department has been behaving as a municipal fire department since around 2015. We're just lacking the legal document that makes it that way. So your tax dollars in your payroll and training budget go to the call hours of the firefighters who show up to emergency scenes in the middle of the night, and for however long they're there, they get an hourly salary based on their level of certification. And just by paying them, you're really a municipal department. That's the biggest difference between a volunteer department and a municipal one. What this ordinance will actually do for the fire department is allow us to access federal grant money in order to do things like purchase fire trucks, build fire stations without having the financial burden on the taxpayer. While our fire stations say volunteer and we pay our firefighters, we're missing out on all these opportunities that the federal government allows to, benefit and help develop rural emergency services. So that's been my goal since I've been the fire chief, is to help develop our emergency infrastructure here in Baldwin, because as we know, a lot of the times when we have a problem, we're waiting for Standish to come and solve it for us. Sometimes those wait times are 30 minutes. And in a case of, cardiac arrest or a heart attack, 30 minutes isn't something that I don't find that acceptable. We need to be there in 5 minutes, 10 minutes. So this ordinance is, really just a set of, it's just a structural document. And what that means is that it outlines the structure of the fire department, what it looks like for the next, 20 to 50 years, I'm hoping, is the life of it. It's also completely amendable. Any and all potential amendments to this document, if it is to eventually pass when it goes to vote, can be recommended to me, and I can bring it before the select board, and we can sit here and have another public hearing and make any changes we feel necessary. But I think it's a pretty important thing for the future of Baldwin and the future of emergency services here in Baldwin. I'm happy to answer any questions any of you and all of you have about it.
I think it's important to say that this ordinance does not, or a vote for this ordinance does not vote any money for anything.
That's definitely true.
It's just an organizational structure.
Right.
Some people are afraid that it commits them to spend X millions of dollars for a new fire station construction, and it does not do that.
It absolutely does not do that. If anything, it would allow us federal grant money in order to assist us in building a fire station if that's the way that the town felt that they needed to go. And Bob is absolutely correct. It is a structural document that just outlines the two positions of the leadership of the fire department, which is the fire chief and the deputy chief, and basically what our essential functions are to the town.
Any other questions from the audience? Concerns?
There are copies of the ordinance and the road closures over there if anybody would like a copy.
This is just a public hearing, so we're here to listen, talk, what the thing is about.
I don't have enough.
So, I read through, I tried to read through it earlier with the teamwork. The goal is to have a fire station with full-time firefighters. Or did I misunderstand that?
Well, the idea of the ordinance isn't to do that.
Or the goal for the fire department?
I mean, I would think that would benefit the town the best personally, but that's just a personal opinion.
Yeah,
You know,
that was.
Yeah,
I would know that.
I agree with you, yeah, I mean, you know, especially with the fact that we have a large aging population in town, and the increased, you know, amount of medical calls, not just fire calls, mostly medical calls, like, you know, happen in town. Absolutely. The document really doesn't have much to do with that. What it does do is it centralizes our fire department as well. Historically, for the last 75 years that our fire department has been around, it's been the West Fire Department, the East Fire Department, and the North Fire Department. And they were operated fairly independently, and as the years kind of have gone by, we've become more and more and more centralized and cohesive.
Oh, I got one.
This
Yeah.
document does officially centralize us as well. So not only does it open up to us federal grant money for the benefit of the future of the fire department, but it also makes us officially one.
Cool.
Well, as I was saying, it's a public hearing, we're here to answer questions, advocate for, against, as a member of the select board, I'm all for this. I've advocated for it for a number of years. I do support a central fire station, but this doesn't do it. And, so when this comes to a vote, at some time here in the near future, we'll hold a special town meeting to vote on it. And at that time, then it will become an ordinance and kind of law of the land. But other than that, we're pretty much done for the night, unless anybody's got something else they wanna bring up.
So, close this public hearing then.
Thank you for coming.
Thank you. Appreciate it, sir.
All right, then we'll call the regular meeting to order. First today is EAK program. You had some concerns about that.
Yeah, you know, in light of different subjects that have come up over the past couple of weeks, I'm wondering if we're training the people right, we have a qualified staff. What are our requirements for training? I mean, are we licensed? Do we fall into that licensing category with teachers, or is it outside of the main statute on daycare and?
Yeah, I don't believe daycare licenses is required, because they don't teach anything, that's what was explained to me anyway.
Okay.
They don't teach. They're just
And that's
more-
what, you know, the whole thing, and I've got some more, like, looking around I wanna do, but, this was presented back in 2018 as it's the very first sentence, actually. And I think a lot of people were assuming at the town meeting that I watched, which is available online, that it was gonna be predominantly Baldwin kid, which it hasn't turned out to be that way. The first sentence, in September of 2018, the town of Baldwin has been researching the establishment of a much-needed educational after-school program. I see it as anything but that.
Right, it isn't, I don't know why,
Yeah.
because,
It was 5 years ago, come on, Jeff.
I was a freshman.
I think I don't expect to get anything resolved tonight, but just for future talks and research, we ought to, have maybe some better guidelines for the program, if we're gonna be the employee.
That's true. That's true.
Employer, I mean.
Yeah, my thought is, and I know we approached Ariel about this, the previous director, about, kind of going off on her own and having the BAK separate from the town. And all she has to do is just rent the rooms down there. So maybe it's something we could look at with.
Does that go down the rabbit hole of, like, designate one person to have their space if we're gonna lease it out? How does that work?
What I was thinking was, I mean, she, right now, the rooms down there, charge so much per room. She'd hire her own, she'd be just independent from the town, she wouldn't be under the town, she just,
Have their own insurance policy? and
Right,
all that,
yeah. yeah, she's hired her own people, her own payroll, her own, she has pretty much control of where she's heading, you know,
Yeah.
which I feel more comfortable doing that.
I just worry so much about the liability,
Yeah.
you know?
You're right,
Like, been around kids a lot, and anything can happen, especially with the age of some of the employees.
yeah,
You know, it's kind of like asking your nephew to watch them, you know, they don't have a vested interest, so they don't have the same mentality as
Right.
a person that's doing it as a job,
Yeah, I've made a couple of attempts, you watch the video, and all the questions that came up there, we've asked several times since, as select board members. We've had several meetings with the director about various issues about money and supervision of children and so forth, keeping kids, out of certain places and, keeping doors closed and stuff, and it seems to be a difficult thing to manage if you see what's happening. It's, and it might be as a result of the structure of the building, there's, how do you get in and get out?
there's no good way out back, go through the kitchen.
No good way out back, you've got, you gotta walk out and around, and it's easier to walk through the kitchen than it is, and then things happen when people go through the kitchen. I think we've had several meetings with, Ariel, and one or two with, Megan.
When did she assume the role? Last year, the year before?
Last year.
last year, yeah.
And she's doing pretty well, but, as you say, there's a lot of young people there are, what they call counselors.
Mhm.
Was she hiring somebody new, Robin, that she said because she was short-staffed and
she's in the process of hiring somebody now.
somebody else,
I need to put my own impression on it because I've tried to look at it from a point of view as supervisor of the program. You do, Dale, yes. And if you're gonna be a supervisor, you gotta come supervise, right?
Right.
And, it's a difficult thing for me to do, to come down and see what they're doing, you gotta get here at night or early in the morning. During the day, normally they're gone, they're not here, so it's, so all you see are the negative effects sometimes. I don't know how many times I woke up in the morning and the alarm go off, and I run down here, and it's because somebody's come through the back door to, turn off the alarm. And that's why we installed the alarm panel right down there near their office. But, it was people taking shortcuts and stuff.
There is the summer program where they're here during the day all summer,
yeah,
school vacation.
yeah.
So. And then the other thing is, they're kind of off the books. And for a couple of years, I tried to put them on the books with that. Money comes in, doesn't take their money, for their payments, and, we pay the salary of the counselors and the director, but there's no budget. There's no management, so to speak. We just recently started charging them for, janitorial service, but there's no fee for the heat and the use of the building down there. So I think it would be an effort to restructure it so that they're on their own, but I don't know that it's not worth a look at anyway.
Yeah, I think it's worth looking into just because of the micromanagement that, Robin does a lot, that,
Yeah.
Sarah folks, she
Right.
takes care of, and, this goes above and beyond, we're supposed to be
Yeah.
focusing on,
You know, we kind of free up
Yeah.
Deb too,
Yeah.
doing payroll and stuff.
I just wanna, if it's gonna be a daycare, so what, we got, how many kids now, 13?
I think we've been up to 20.
Up to 20 now, okay.
Up to 20, I don't know, she's, that was
Yeah.
good for us. It's been 20 in the past.
I mean,
That's pretty good, I mean, I think it's a good program.
as employers, I think we wanna be damn sure that they're being taken care of like they're supposed to be.
Supervised. Yeah, yeah. Oh, yeah.
So, and that opened up, how much work do we put into it,
Right.
versus turning it over, I guess.
Right, yeah. That way, I think if what money we take in from that can go back into the building. What I would like to see is a separate account for that money to go back into the building to pay for electricity and pay for the heat.
Yeah, and
You know, and I think,
it's like a washing effect right now.
right, yeah,
It's just turning more money,
right, yeah,
yeah.
so,
Yeah, so I'm gonna do some more, I guess, thinking on it and present it again,
yeah.
yeah.
I'm glad you're thinking about it,
Yeah.
because,
Yeah.
it's bothering me.
That's my thing, is safety and care, it always has been, I coached for 16 years in all sports, pretty much all year long, and, I know how quick things can happen,
Right.
unsupervised.
Well, even supervised.
Even supervised, but I love the proper
Right,
supervision, and that's not throwing shade to anybody in the program,
Right.
I'm just saying,
yeah,
are they qualified to be doing what they're doing? Maybe we have enough bodies in there, but, maybe some kind of guideline for them.
that's right, we
Like
never.
a checklist before they go home, or,
Right, I mean, we've never put any guidelines on them, or, this is a kind of like a program that was playing by ear for a while, and it was presented to us by this individual, Lisa, and I thought she was gonna be the one, running it, but she
Just
set it up and then backed out,
Back out.
kind of threw it in our laps, and
yeah, I think it's time to maybe revisit it, maybe it should have been revisited a couple times since 2018 to see how it was running.
right, yeah.
But,
No,
time
right.
gets ahead of us, and,
Your question about, Baldwin kids, the last number that I got, I've got it somewhere, maybe on my desk, it shows that about 25% of them are Baldwin.
so.
I think that was for the summer, this last summer.
Yeah. So out of 5 towns, so basically
Mhm.
equivalent to
Yeah.
whatever your town was, okay.
Okay. EMA director. I got a resignation letter from our EMA director today. So we'll be looking for another one. Steve, you thought you had somebody who could,
I don't exactly have somebody in mind, but I have no problem in the interim, managing EMA. It's not something that really comes up, thankfully, all that much in regards to the fire department. So I don't mind managing it, and until then, I won't take the EMA director's position because that requires tax money going to me, and I don't feel like I can perform the job as well as I could while I'm being the fire
Right.
chief. So I'm not gonna do something, make a promise I can't keep. As of right now, Cumberland County EMA, which our EMA director is essentially just the contact person between the county and the fire department. they're willing to provide a county representative specific for Baldwin. It would require that we pay them. I have no idea what the price would be on that, but now that we're in this situation, and I just found out about this today as you did, I have no problem following up with Cumberland County and seeing what our options are. In the interim, I'll manage it. So,
Okay, yeah, if you wanna follow up with them,
absolutely can do that.
maybe see how much it's gonna cost.
Well, that's just it, you know, I have no idea, and once we figure out what it's gonna cost, what they're actually gonna provide for us.
Right,
What
the payoff will be.
Yeah, since I've been on the fire department since 2020, we have not used EMA, so,
Yeah.
yeah.
I knew that, talking about grants and stuff, possibly, you get some,
Yeah, primarily EMA grants, from what I understand, provide money for EMA, which is again, just like a contact point between the county and the fire department in the event of a large-scale emergency. You know, if we were to have no power and no cell phone communication, so cell towers are down, they would provide money to have a generator that runs our radio tower so that we can continue to talk to Cumberland County, which they already have that, and WMPW does for us as well.
yeah.
So there's definitely some opportunities there, but I hear quite a bit about it via email from the county, and as of right now, nothing that is worth really delving into. I think our fire department might need a little bit more work than our EMA does.
There was a lot of there's the mitigation funds available through EMA for the roads. However, the process of doing them is very lengthy, and the guarantee is very small. And the project, you have to plan basically for about 5 years out from the project, is from what I can gather from the meeting that I was in with the old EMA director and the state EMA representative that we did it with. She basically told us that, yeah, the funds are there, they might be worth applying for. You're gonna spend about 3 months doing the application process at like 4 hours a week, 4 or 5 hours a week for 3 months. And she's like, and you have to look out for, 3 to 5 years basically for the project. And then even so, it's a reimbursement, so we would have to fund the project first, and then you would get the reimbursement after the completion.
Oh, yeah.
It was,
And then we wouldn't know if we wasn't guaranteed that you get it.
yeah, so, yeah, I mean, you would get awarded the money if you did the application, you get awarded the money, you get the money, but you have to complete the project and show that you've completed the project and show your work. And you can do it in stages, so you can do half the project and get your funds for half the project back, and then you can finish it.
Oh, yeah.
It's almost shuffling money a little bit there, but you have to fund the project 100% or whatever before you get it back, and depending on the tier that we're in, it would only allow us to get like 60 to 80% of the money back, depending on where we fall and what we would have to what our projected cost would be to actually do the project.
Yeah.
I still have the information, and I haven't given up on it.
It's almost like chances of swimming none.
It's tough for us to meet the emergency damage threshold is what it is. A lot of the times, the amount of money that we have to spend isn't exactly what FEMA, who supports EMA, will supply for us. So even when we do apply, they just say, sorry,
Yeah.
we didn't spend enough money, so.
Right.
It's about one of the downsides to Cumberland County,
Yep.
Yeah.
is that we don't meet the threshold because of the other towns in it.
Yep.
Then you get the bigger towns and they don't submit it because they can chew the $200,000 loss that they
Right.
take, because, well, they're a bigger town. 20,000 for us is a lot of money.
Right.
It's all our money. It's all their own money. I mean, it happens, but it's hard for Cumberland County to meet the threshold to meet FEMA for those funds.
Yeah, we missed out on.
We applied twice now in the last year.
Yeah.
When they opened them up, and both times Cumberland County fell short by quite a bit. The first time I know we fell short of close to $500,000, and then the second time they had like 300,000 that got submitted out of the 1.5 or 1.8 that we have to hit to meet that threshold,
Yeah.
so.
For the forest town and come down. Pretty much, right? All right, remind, we get a, yeah, planning board, just coming, planning board, should be nice. You guys got anything? Bring up, how was this, how was the summer this week? Just down the beach, down to, I heard.
Nobody's doing anything.
Right now? Yeah, we shut Chad off. Funds are getting low.
Oh, there was a lot of days we were there that didn't need to be, but, I mean, we didn't get the buoys out this year,
Right. Yep.
No sense.
no offense. Haven't heard any more about that. The signs didn't get out.
Signs, Ben ordered them, I don't know where they are. That was so,
What do you order for signs? You already had signs from last year.
I asked him, and he didn't have them. I thought he did too, but. Just didn't get out this year. Rotten weather.
And I don't think there's so many permits either this year.
I don't think so, no.
Not for the amount of people we've seen at the beach this year.
Yep.
Last I knew, there were over 80, which did fall short from past years.
Yeah.
I recall, I think last summer or summer before last, it was over 100
Yeah.
that were sold, so, we were a bit short. But there were some other signs that were put up, like, where they're not.
I put up 2, I think, along the road, and then I have 2 more for next year that I got this, at the end of this year.
You picked up 2 in a row. They're only myself, I can bring thing back next spring.
Was it somebody ripping down, or?
Yeah, the no vaping and,
No vaping one and one of the regular red and white signs.
yeah.
That's why we try to put them as high as we can.
Mm. Yeah, these were the high ones too. And they were.
I do have a question, if we can't come up with a noise ordinance for the racetrack that we have.
We're working on something.
I'm drafting something.
Oh, good.
I don't think we'll do anything before next year, but, it's a tricky thing. But,
I think they're quiet on Sundays.
uh-huh.
I think they're quiet on Sundays.
Favorite risk.
That must be it.
They're running out of gas, I don't.
So I understand they've been busy the last 2 weekends, anyway.
Yeah.
It wasn't so bad until they got pavement, and that was really,
Yeah,
Yeah.
well, I don't think they do much about payment with anybody, just spinning dirt.
yeah.
But we're gonna be using the leaves, which is helping us a tiny bit.
Yeah.
Keep the noise down, yeah. Yeah, we're working on something else, well, all it is.
Okay.
You'll get something. Anything else?
I don't think so.
Please vote.
Hi, my name's Deborah Nato. This is my husband Joseph.
Hi.
We're from Auburn, New Hampshire. We camp seasonally over at Acres of Wildlife. I would have made more copies, and I know I was coming here, but this just was a spur of moment of thing that happened today when I came in to say Debbie. She requested, or she suggested I might come in and talk to you guys. Basically what's transpired is, I think it was about 4 years ago, about 2019, we started assessing trailers over there. Obviously have decks and rooms added. These people buy their trailers in New Hampshire, they move them up to Maine, they never register them. And I think they should be taxed, obviously, doing that. I am a registered trailer. And I'm requesting an abatement, but I'm hitting a stone wall. So I just want to tell you my view. Basically, I did pay the tax bill today because I don't want to get interest. But, basically our 2009 Cameo Camp trailer, has a plate on it. It's legally and lawfully registered according to the rules, laws of the domicile residence municipality. Yearly, a mobile home trailer declaration form is filed with an updated copy of current registration, and no further action has ever been required. So this has been happening yearly. For some reason, this year, the camper trailer is being assessed for Maine personal property tax because I did not pay Maine excise tax. And although I'm complying with the provisions and laws on registration and licensing of the jurisdiction of my residence, it's been implied that New Hampshire registration is not accepted as legality in the state of Maine. They're telling me because New Hampshire and Florida have different rules and you don't pay excise tax, you now have to pay property tax on your vehicle, whether it moves or not. And
Who's they?
the assessing office, so they're telling me I gave them a copy of my registration. The only thing I did different this year, my copy machine broke, I'm not tech savvy, we don't have internet at the house. I thought I did really good and took a picture of my registration and thought I emailed it to them. I'm thinking maybe I didn't do so good. But, they're asking for proof of registration, and basically I'm telling them New Hampshire generates the bulk of their tax revenue by levying select sales tax, otherwise known as income tax. The corporate income tax the state derives is constitutionally, it's an authority of tax from Article 5, Part 2 of the state constitution. And basically that says that tax policies can vary from state to state. Now that being said, if you look at the permit fee on my registration, they're telling me this does not say tax, it says fees. So because I didn't pay a tax, but what I'm telling them is that, under the municipal fee section of the New Hampshire registration, it is indeed a tax, although it's not labeled as such. The dollar amount is tax deductible on my Internal Revenue Service Schedule, Part A and B of the 1045. So it is a tax. So if argued it's not an excise tax, it's potentially a personal property tax. Either way, the tax on the camp trailer has been paid. And unfortunately, the only proof I have is my registration.
So is that the $196?
Yeah, $196 is what I'm paying for the state of New Hampshire. That's my tax, although it doesn't say tax. So then I did a simple search.
It uses a mill rate.
Exactly, and that's what I want to say. A mill rate is used to figure tax evaluation. And then I think I don't know, did I also give you a copy of New Hampshire, how they figure their registration? Because on page 2, it even says that the majority goes to the funds of repairs and highways. And then when you say, what is an excise tax, it says, through the fund of, so it is an excise tax, but I'm being told because it's not labeled as such, it's not a tax. I did a simple search, and I think I gave that to you. If I'm a registered person, do I pay? And Scarborough, as well as I believe Saco, in the same county, is clearly on their web pages stating that it's Maine law that you will be evaluated for property tax. But on the bonuses, please note, if your trailer is registered as a trailer or vehicle in another municipality by April 1st, you will not be assessed.
Yeah.
So, and we were provided this same documentation, and I can't, because I'm not computer savvy, I'm hard paper file person, and I can't find that, and I don't know if it came from you or from the assessing office, but we were clearly told in 2019 if you're registered, all you have to do is supply your registration and you won't be taxed. And this is what's happened every year, but I don't know what's changed this year. But they're basically telling me, at this point, what is his name, Rob, told me to file an abatement, and he said he sent a letter over to New Hampshire Internal Revenue Services for clarification, because he said it's his understanding we don't pay excise tax. So I feel like we're splitting here, that it's so nice to be black and white. Either you're registered or you're not, and you will be taxed. It's obvious to me. I have no attic rooms. I have no large decks. I can come and go as I please. And not that I put this in there, but I just want to bring up one little, I was told that you don't pay to use main roads. In the month of July, it cost me $120 to go to my daughter's in Emden, Maine twice, via Easy Pass tolls. Because when we tow a fifth wheel with our dually, it's considered a tractor trailer in the state of Maine. So we pay when we move around the state, you know, and I just...
So, what's your name again?
I'm Deborah. So I'm asking for an abatement, and it's what, $77 for half a year? I know it's not gonna break the bank, $154, but we've...
Deborah, what's this, this out of New Hampshire? This is
Yeah,
New
this
Hampshire
is New
law.
Hampshire. So when you come to, this, the only reason why I supplied you this, I'm sorry for being up in your face.
That's all right.
Right down in this section here, it just tells you that mill rate is used a lot like figure and excise tax.
Yeah, I see it.
And then right here, it tells you it goes all to the funds of highways and everything else, just like an excise tax. So I know my registration doesn't say, I guess apparently when you register in Massachusetts, it clearly, you have to show an excise tax bill to register. It's two separate entities, like in Maine, you have to pay an excise tax and then to get registered. We actually pay it when we register.
Oh, yeah.
So that's why I'm just asking, and in the whole grand scheme of things, what's happened over the past few years, we've been implemented a lodging tax, we're up over 5,000 with insurance and everything, and so another 154 just, I don't want to say breaks the bank, but it's like,
Yeah.
it's
I
like,
received an email today. I don't know if it was that one or not.
Was that from Debbie?
No, I don't know.
I did come in to see Debbie today to pay the bill, and asked her to forward this stuff to whoever it goes to, and then she told me about the meeting tonight, so I said I'll hang out.
Well, Deb, we'll take it under consideration.
There is another camper abatement,
It might be the other one, yeah.
for next Tuesday, that Rod has sent over, for the meeting next Tuesday.
That was it.
It's my understanding I'm the only registered New Hampshire seasonal. I could be wrong. I know there's what they call a pit, and they have registered trailers that store in the pit of people that are not seasonal, and I did see on the Acres of Wildlife, webpage, somebody is saying that he received a bill, but he's registered and he has to supply his registration, so I know something else is going there, but it's not a
Well, the
seasonal.
interesting thing about Acres of Wildlife is part of its involvement. Yes.
You wanna hear something even funnier? We are on the line, and my trailer potentially is in Standish with the way the line goes. It's not even on that side, but they've decided it has to belong to somebody, and we belong to you. But we are the one on the line.
You're one of us.
It's all good. It's all good.
I wonder if this is confusing between, because previous years we had Ben accept that, now we got Rob. I wonder if there's something.
It might be, he's reading the laws a little more strictly than
Ben did.
Well, just between you and I, somebody did get taxed, supposedly on a Rubbermaid tote. Somebody else had a stack of chairs with a top over it, and it's a structure. So it's been a little, for this year, something's gone crazy this year where things have been, hairs are being split, I guess is what I wanna say.
Catch the top, cover it.
Yeah, it's a structure, because I know, I don't wanna badmouth any, I don't know if they're new at assessing or what, but I just,
The issue that we have is people park up there for several years, don't pay the taxes, and then move it away, and, we really don't have any way to chase the taxes from them.
and I think everybody up here understands, you know, if they're not registered, and they do have these screen rooms and these decks.
Right, yeah.
A deck off the deck, and sheds, and we're just one of those that come and go. But we do pay for storage, and if the opportunity is there just to cover it and winterize it, you're not plugged in, you're not on electric, you're not on storage, and I don't know if that's what makes the difference, but I was just under the assumption that if you're registered, I can't find anything that says excludes New Hampshire and Florida.
Yeah, all right, well,
So it's not a seasonal campsite, right?
It is seasonal, but it's not a year-round.
It's 6 months out of the year.
Okay,
We're
It's
open
from
May
May to October.
and you take it out,
Well,
You
we
can-
can, but we leave it there for storage, because we pay for storage.
Okay.
Not seasonal.
It's almost $5,000 for the season.
Okay,
And it includes storage, but you pay for your electric above and beyond, and we pay 9% lodging fees, even though we provide our own beds. Even on the electric bill, we pay 9%.
Yep.
Because I guess that law passed a few years ago, which it is what it is, you know, if you wanna be there. But it's breaking down, if we do 2 weekends a month, it's $500 a weekend, so the extra 154 is just, I haven't renewed next year, because this is the make or break for us.
Yeah.
We're gonna either, you know, it's just been so much added to it.
yeah, right.
And I thank you for listening to us, and I wait to hear from you. How will they just all of a sudden email me, or?
we can email you. Do you have a
Did you leave the email?
email address?
I did not, but it's,
You can write it here for me.
Actually, I did. But I didn't realize that was coming.
Yeah.
You can read my writing?
At msn.com.
Yeah. Hey, did I give you a copy of my tax bill, so you have Joe and I,
Yeah, we've got your, bill, your,
Yeah.
and,
that I paid today, and, we'll go from there.
all right.
Okay,
Thank you so much for hearing us out.
thank you for coming.
Thank you.
Thank you for your time, everyone.
Joe, do you guys?
Yeah, if you're going to be thinking and talking about the after-school program, I'd like to go back to before we had it. The idea was that this was gonna be a community center. And it seems to me, you know, not being selectmen, kind of, you know, observing from a distance, that we had this whole enthusiasm when we got this building, that we were gonna have a community center. And when we established the after-school program, it was like, okay, we're done.
I see, I get it, yeah.
Okay, and that's just all I wanted to say. I really support the idea of this place as a community center.
Did you go up, no, I know Kathy, you did, you went to Thorndike, right? Was it Thorndike, or was it?
It was to Orland.
Orland.
To see what it was that they did with their facility, which was very much like what they had here.
Yeah.
They had other sorts of issues which gave them a lot of state money, which we don't have. We don't have those issues either, with the mill being out and all these people needing work training and resumes and legal counsel. And, you know, none of those situations are here, so ours is just standard. But we took some of their ideas and said, okay, let's rent out the space, let's do these things for the community. We got the kitchen put in so that we could use it. It hasn't really been used to its full potential.
Right.
But some of the events that have happened here, you know, that's all to the good. Nice space, meeting meetings, our annual meeting, you know, whatever we need it for, we've got the space to do it with. Between this and the library, it's good coverage. With the kids, the state gives you free lunches if you have a facility, so they get the free lunch here. So we went to training to figure out refrigerator and freezer settings, and, you know, what do you do with the program? They have to eat X amount of food. If they don't wanna eat it, it either gets thrown away or put on a free table. I mean, all these, you know, little minutiae that go along with it. So, and that was running really well.
Yeah.
And it was supposed to be a self-sufficient entity. Town was not supposed to be involved. People wanted to grab the money, throw it to the town. No, they were supposed to do their own programs with it, do their own training, make sure they had everything covered. Well, that's not how it worked out. And so now we're still going through the growing pains, if you wanna call it that, to figure out what we wanna do with it.
What do you mean with that's not how it worked out? I don't think that they're not self-supporting, because they actually do add revenue to the town budget, or to the town.
Yes, they do. Yeah, and that was what they were supposed to do with
no,
the.
I don't think that's an
money
issue.
Coming from the people that were using the opportunity.
Yeah.
Mostly it was for Baldwin because there are other facilities and they charge an awful lot more. This was for people who really didn't have the money to do that. And most of those people have been that. I don't know what level they're at right now, so I can't answer to that.
Megan does, provide, I know with the summer programs, the school lunch folks, they provide lunches and snacks, I think, which was helpful.
Very.
Yeah.
Because some of these kids weren't gonna eat meals if they didn't have something here in the building.
Right.
And I think they worked it as such that, they didn't have to use stoves.
Right. That
so-
sort of limited the access, you know, less on the insurance part of things.
Yeah. Anything else, Joe?
I think that was enough.
No, you're right, they have kind of changed it out, because originally it was, they were going to use the, multipurpose room during the day, and then one classroom.
Right.
And now they've pretty much straightened it out to most everything down there. I think the Girl Scouts still use the far left one.
And,
But that's about it, there's nobody else using them. I don't know that there's a demand for it, others actually.
Well, we haven't been able to rent it out for all the effort that we put into offering it.
But has there been a demand for them?
for Saturdays or Sundays, you know, for
For what?
birthday parties and functions
So,
like
yeah,
that,
they're
but
not
in
here
terms,
then.
right, but not during the week. I think, someone had suggested using the, gym or cafeteria space for pickleball, but I don't know if that's, you know, if that space is adequate for that.
Not
I
really,
don't
you
play
can't cover the
pickleball.
length.
Right, so, but aside from, you know, somebody coming in and actually renting a room during the week, we haven't had any requests. It's mostly weekend type stuff, or the cheerleaders, in the
Yeah.
evening.
The Tai Chi.
And Tai Chi, unfortunately, when COVID hit, they kind of, I think they dissolved for a while and then,
And now they're over the cycle.
right, so when they resumed there, unfortunately. But, and we did have, a couple of, days where we had contra dancing here, which
Yes,
was kind of
and that
fun.
should be back this fall, by the way.
So, but that was just a couple of days, and then she, I guess, put some barn dances together.
Yeah, there was other funding from the Grateful Undead and the Agency on Aging.
So things like that, we, the senior lunch, Connie and Dwight do, you know, they took a break for the summer month, you know, 2 months off, but they're back doing that, so that's a wonderful, and myself personally, I love to see everybody coming in and being able to socialize once again, now that we've put, you know, the real bad aspects of COVID behind us, so, and I think that's what it is, you know, it's more being able to visit and meet, once again, but they also have a wonderful lunch too. But, so, I mean, it is, we do have some good things going on. It would be nice if we could have more, but, and Megan, is now utilizing, 2 rooms. She's not using the cafeteria, maybe, you know, as colder weather sets in, she'll go back to using the cafeteria or gym space more. They had spread out, but, with security cameras, I guess, Deb and Sarah had said that the Wi-Fi was, not good in that furthest room, so pulled back and, it's less room where,
So there's just only 2 rooms on that one side?
as of just this week, yes. So if they're not dispersed, in several different rooms, it's easier to keep an eye on things too. It's another way of looking at it, but. The Girl Scouts are definitely back. They took a break for the summer, but I think they do Friday night or Saturday mornings.
Yeah, let's have cheering, let's become that, too, you know.
Yes, they're looking at, winter definitely. They were thinking about fall, but I think they had ended up doing like the fall stuff actually outside. But they'll definitely be back for the winter.
You. It's not exclusively BAK.
Well, I guess, Bob, what I sort of meant was that, there was an effort made to establish that, and the effort to make this more of a community center, I think has to be ongoing. Because, like, Tai Chi drops out, you know, things drop out.
Yeah.
And you gotta be making the effort to attract new and other ideas. I mean, this was the idea behind the walking paths. It was part of the community, get us together, get people doing things together.
Yeah.
And so that's something that's dropped out.
I do have an update on the walking path. I spoke with Ron, with the,
Just go up,
yes, and, they are definitely interested in helping, so.
That's wonderful.
It's
Wonderful news.
So we'll just, he was supposed to, get back to us this week, so we'll see.
That's what I mean, Bob. You know, we gotta keep making the efforts to keep things going, because if we don't,
yeah.
you know, it disappears one strand at a time.
Yep.
Sorry, I shut up.
I'm sorry, I forget your name.
Mike.
Mike, you got anything?
No comments, but
Howard, you got anything over there? Steve?
Yeah, just a quick fire department, issue, that's been resolved luckily, but just an issue that I think needs to be spoken about with you guys. We had a piece of equipment go missing, that was found in Scarborough. Very strange, one of the strangest things I've had happen to me since I've been the chief of the fire department. I was given a call by Wyndham Dispatch today on my way back from Scarborough, that timing, that they had a piece of our equipment, and that the Scarborough police was in possession of it. So I was transferred over to one of the sergeants in Scarborough, and he explained to me that he looked at the serial number on the piece of the equipment, called the company who designed the equipment, and they said it was purchased by the Bolton Fire Department. And so I immediately called Deputy Chief and one of the captains of the fire department. I said, can you guys go take a look and see if anything's been missing? And sure enough, one of the pieces of equipment was missing from one of the engines, and was returned in perfect working order with nothing missing from it.
What was it?
It's an AED, very expensive piece of equipment that, you know, we use for life saving. So, I found it to be, you know, pretty strange, and I took it upon myself today after hearing this to go through all the electronic locks on all the fire stations and change it, because that hasn't been done for, I think, since 2015, when they were put in. So we have a saying where I grew up called everybody in Newmala has access to these stations, and a lot of people who used to be on the fire department or people who are part of the fire department associations, and they still deserve access to those buildings if they are a part of either an association or active on the fire department. But in order to prevent things like this from happening again, we need to spend a little bit of money on investing in security on our fire stations, especially until we hopefully one day move towards building another one. So, just felt like I'd let you guys know that this was the case, just so you don't have to hear it from anybody else. And I have taken the steps necessary to re-secure departments to make sure something like this doesn't happen again.
So you've changed the combination?
I have to give them to Cumberland County Police, because female police officers, use our bathrooms sometimes, and we would like to work together with, multiple communities. So there's plenty of people who will now need to get re-access. It's gonna take some hours of work, but, and it's important that we, again, keep this stuff secure. I can't possibly think about what the motivation was to take an AED, and why it ended up at Cumberland Farms, but it seems like Scarborough Police didn't really feel like investigating it very much. So I did, on the way home from Scarborough, happen to run into a Cumberland County deputy and asked him to kind of look into it a little bit further. And so I think the district deputy is going to reach out to me hopefully either this week or by the beginning of next. And I at least want to take a look at the security camera footage, see who dropped it off.
So it's literally like in the parking lot?
All I know, and even when I asked the sergeant and this was a sergeant, so he's a supervisor, in the police world at least, which I don't know that much about, I'm a firefighter. The sergeants are essentially supervisors, so like a shift supervisor. So that's the person who, when you want to talk to, the person above everybody else, that's who you get. And when he said, well, I didn't really think it was that important to look at the security camera footage, but I'm finishing a report, I said, okay. And he was like, well, maybe you want to talk to the county deputies. So I did that, because I'd like to see who dropped it off there. AEDs are a optional piece of equipment. They are not required by state law to be on a fire engine. They're required by state law to be on an ambulance. We carry them as a result of having an aging population in this town, and again, to decrease response times to a cardiac emergency. But they are therefore also not part of a regular truck check. So we can't blame any of our staff for missing it, because on our monthly truck checks, it's not, again, required that we look at our AED. They have their own separate checks.
Is it gonna be now?
It probably is going to be now.
And it apparently wasn't on the Department of Labor's checklist either.
It's not a state law.
Right.
Otherwise the Department of Labor would have got it, because the engine it was missing from was the station that got inspected, so she didn't miss a thing.
That is an odd story.
It's a very odd story.
Yeah.
Can't say like I said, it's the strangest call I've gotten.
It's almost like maybe another deputy, not the sergeant or whatever, maybe made a stop of somebody, and you could speculate all day long.
All day long. I'd just like to see who dropped it off.
That would probably lead you
somewhere.
somewhere.
I don't really think that you can, I'm sure you can sell anything, but an AED is an interesting piece of equipment to try to sell when we have chainsaws and power washers and all different types of stuff that you could essentially take and repurpose and re-identify, and we would, just be out. An AED is a very strange one with a very traceable serial number, so I find it weird. So I will keep you updated, but as of right now, it's back in our possession, works, and no money to be spent besides changing codes and making documents, so all secure.
Weird.
Very
Kathy, guys?
Friday, we had the elevator inspector in. I was not able to make that meeting. He said there's still water down in the pit, even though it's like mostly gone. He said you might want to remediate the metal so that it's not rusting. I don't know what that means. I don't know who does that kind of work. I haven't been able to speak to him yet. He's been out on calls, and we should get together probably tomorrow or the day after and find out what needs to be done. I don't know what I don't know, but we're not done yet. Other than that, things are going okay. We've got a lot of romance novels, boxes of them. Somebody just dropped off 6 banana boxes worth of cookbooks. Some of them are nice, some of them, they kind of miss the trash can. And the rest of them are free, we're just giving away. Yep, and, you want a bunch of romance novels, we can set you up. Other than that, no, things are going nicely, which is great. A lot of kids in for the story hour, they love Miss Mary and her puppets, so. It's doing well.
That's
Thanks.
great.
Yeah, that's it.
Mary, you got anything?
I don't have anything, thank you.
No? You got anything?
Well, while I'm here, I have more of a question. What would be my option? So, out of our property with 16 acres, there's like a 2 or 3 acre parcel that does not belong to us. I asked that at the planning board before, I don't know if you were there, Bob. And it's basically a dump site. There's a broken car, there's tires, there's oil barrels, and I'm more concerned with, I don't see it, so it's not really an eyesore for me.
Right.
But when I go on walks, I'm concerned my dog's gonna run into something, and I'm concerned more about the environment, that all these things leak into the brook that's right there. And I looked up the text.
Is this on Grafton Road?
No, you know Tavern Lane, it's like right by the,
Just
West Baldwin Fire Station. The fire lane, Tavern Lane that goes down to the track, and it's right up to the track. So, is there any options that I have to be like, hey, can you at least clean the shit? There is a built house that's been uninhabited for, I don't know, as long as you've been there.
You can call the DEP,
DEP,
the Department of Environmental Protection. That's probably your best bet.
There you go.
But, don't wanna step on these toes.
It sits in the middle of your property?
Yeah, it's, what I heard, is that from the previous owners, I believe, that one of the family members way back gifted a piece of land to somebody, and now it's, but luckily, nobody lives in that home that has no electricity, no, I mean, it's inhabitable because I think this lane, firing would be, it's too small anyway, too narrow.
DEP.
Okay, yeah, that's like a Jeep Cherokee, I have pictures, there's a Jeep
green
Cherokee or
Jeep?
something.
The green Jeep?
Yeah, gray, green, yeah. With a,
I know what you got
well, but there's a pet cemetery too. There's actual, yeah. Which is a bit Stephen King. Yeah, okay, DEP, thank you.
They'll at least come and inspect and see if there's any actual environmental hazard. I'm not gonna say they'll solve the
Yeah.
problem, but if there is, they will just fine whoever owns it.
I mean, there's some rusty barrels, I don't know what was in there, but a ton of tires, the car, and there's the brook running straight into the compost, imagine, so.
Right.
If it's a problem, we will definitely do something about it.
Sweet, okay.
Yeah, right.
Tomorrow.
Mr. McKinney, how you doing?
I'm basically here for the fire.
The ordinance, okay.
But I was wondering, the Merch Road, would that be a project going for as far as, because right now it's not passable.
Not passable.
Cars, pickups can go through.
Yeah.
We've enjoyed the peace and quiet, but they can't go through, but, if somebody responded for the fire department, they wouldn't be able to go in the car, beyond that first hill, and,
Well, I don't know, Chris, Chris has had tons of breakdowns. You're down to one truck right now?
I have the 2 1-tons.
The grader's down. It's on the
Yeah.
side of the road.
Yeah. Kyle's supposed to be trying to truck it back to the shop tomorrow morning. I tried to convince Howard to tow it. He told me it was a little big.
I'll tow it for you.
May not come back.
You might like the response of the grader.
So, yeah, he's,
It's on my list.
it's on his list, yeah. He's been very busy this summer with washed out roads and equipment breaking down. He works a week on the road and then the next week he has to work on equipment so it's, yeah, it's been an ongoing, it's been a tough summer with all the rain. So.
I'm sure Dale misses it, though.
You know, it's peace and solitude, like you said, for sure. But to your point, emergency vehicles,
Yeah.
and if it does, it's really bad on that hill, and what's gonna happen, if there's another year that you can't get to it, then we're gonna end up with a Marston Road situation on the Birch Road.
Yeah.
The whole hill will be wiped out, and it's gonna cost you tons to get it fixed.
Yeah.
And I don't think that is a road that can be let go like that.
Right.
Not because I live on it, but, I can access from Sebago when I paid Baldwin taxes. So shouldn't I be able to get to my house through Baldwin? How does that work? Maybe not all the time. It does need to be addressed. Yeah.
My father and I used to joke about, him coming through about,
Wake up call,
6:30,
yeah.
7 o'clock. You can always hear him coming, because he hit that bump at my father's house.
I don't think my trailer.
Grass.
Yeah, I don't think my trailer wheel touched one 10 times going down through there, so.
They're thinking about a new trailer,
I did, but, the good old days.
There is a big rock there, right on top of the hill,
Yeah. Yeah, I went through it, I haven't been through it all summer, and for some reason, I decided to come across it like a week ago. And there's no way to get a car across it. You can go like this with a truck, but, so. That definitely need to be fixed. I don't see it getting fixed this year, really, because just the way everything is.
I don't know if a sign should be put there, road impassable or something.
Pass a
bad
drone
idea.
risk or something,
Yeah. Keep cars from going down there, yeah.
A few cars have just over there, by my father's house, they started down, then you see him back in that.
Just changing their mind.
Yeah, they don't want to go up that hill.
Anything else? No? Chad, you got anything?
No.
Yeah? You got anything up there, Cheryl?
Well, I don't know if this is a forum, but after living where we do for 36 years, I wonder what the chances are of trying to get the speed limit reduced in West Baldwin Village. We have a fire station. We have many driveways, more than when we moved there. We have side streets, we have a church, cemetery, etc. And I think we have a lot more foot traffic even than in East Baldwin Village where the Whipple stop is. And yet, the speed limit right now is 40 and people are doing 50 and we're really anticipating Pride Repair Week.
Yeah.
Which we do every year, and we've lost many pets, we've lost a couple vehicles getting slammed into for people ripping around that corner. Fortunately, no lives lost as humans, but just don't know what that would take.
It takes a survey by the state.
Yeah.
If I may, interject as well, because I did, I inquired about this exact thing, and I contacted the sheriff, local county sheriff, and 2 years ago, and he said that there would need to be, like a whole survey done and everything, and I want to hope that this is why we started having the kind of measurement things, but I don't know if that's recorded. I am happy to forward you the email that I just looked it up.
Did you get anywhere yourself trying to do it?
Not really, but he said, forward your email request, I'm sorry, 4J may request for more traffic enforcement along our patrol paths, so you can ask the deputies to do some more enforcement in the area. That's pretty much as far as I go with enforcement.
And you go over and thank them every time they park over by the fire station. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
I think the state needs to take care of that,
Right, yeah, Chris, is that something you can notify?
So the way that lowering the speed limit would happen is the town would have to request a speed study done by the state. Maine DOT would come out, they have to set up their shop, whatever they have to do, which are the traffic counters. And basically it counts the seconds between, which estimates the speed. And the way that the traffic study works is the speed limit is set based on the average traffic speed that goes through. So if your traffic speed's averaging 50, then they take that into consideration, the house is in consideration, and all this other stuff. They do, they take into effect the intersections, blind spots, straightway, housings, and all this other stuff. And then engineers look at it all and say, okay, this is what the speed limit safely should be. What I tell people, because when I dealt with it over in Sebago, when I was a selectman over there, we reminded people that sometimes speed studies are great, and sometimes they do what you want, and sometimes they do the opposite. Because when they do the speed study, not only can it lower it, but it could also raise it. So if the average traffic's going 60, and it's 40 right now, they may bump it to 45.
That's what happened on Fremont Avenue.
Correct.
Wow. So you gotta drive at 15 miles an hour back and forth.
So.
There's an idea.
Guys with a hammer going.
But that's how the study works, is based on what the average traffic speed is and the area. They take into account how many houses and the congestion of it all.
Did it look at what type of traffic, because we do a lot of
No.
18-wheelers.
Nope.
Yeah,
They will not
They,
stop on a
it's
dime.
basically based off the traffic count, how long the tire takes from A to B. And it figures out their average speed, which in conjunction to that, to lead on you about Freiburg Fair, I did move the speed sign up to there, up to the fire station because of Freiburg Fair week. So, that's where the radar sign is.
Good to you too, thankful though, thank you. Because I feel like they make a difference.
I think it does make a difference.
Yeah.
It does for a week or two, and then the locals just keep driving fast and helps them out of the staters, so.
Trucks that are so loud and then J brakes and everything, it's so annoying.
So, that's how the speed study does. If town wishes to initiate a speed study, I will gladly put it in and see what happens. Could go one way, could go the other, could stay the same.
Right.
be all honesty, I don't think they'll lower that at all, where it's straight the way it is, and it's just.
The congestion would be the only thing that might get it lower,
Yeah,
but I don't think there's a whole lot of new houses that went in.
My thought that this isn't gonna turn out good if you try to do it, it's just my opinion, I feel like it might even raise it on you.
Unfortunately, we live on Chase Road, and my wife is constantly calling the sheriff and stuff, as people go 60, 70 miles an hour from down there. Routinely. I got kids playing, and, not a wide road.
Say, get around slow traffic.
Enforcement is, you can post it, enforcement is another thing.
Well, thanks for asking.
Well, just for an example, like, the other end of the Merch Road on Sebago end, you ever been that way, over its Todd section? Pretty narrow residential, well, they did a traffic study, and the town of Sebago, one of the neighbors, somebody put up 15 mile an hour zone, But after, actually, they lay out there when I did their study, and the speed limit on that road itself is 35 miles an hour. That tells you anything about a 40 mile an hour speed limit on 113. The other end of the Merch Road, yeah, and once you get to the Merch Road, because I'm getting my information for this off of, Chris, but it's actually, there's no speed limit, so that puts it at 45.
Right.
So, sometimes floor isn't safe up there, it might be better, and it might make the neighbors feel better, that, you know, the kids and stuff, but according to state standard, it's not always that way.
Yeah, they lowered the speed limit down by the whistle stop because of that accident that time. The guy come up, wrecked a bunch of cars at the fire station.
We don't talk about
He was doing like 80, coming up with it.
Well, he was able to total 3 vehicles, plus the
Yeah.
Yeah.
He was a Chad,
Is that 35 in that stretch?
It is now, yeah.
And there's still at least 1 to 2 accidents a year there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah, I saw a near miss about 3 weeks ago. Woman looked, turned, everything was going fine, somebody had come out of the whistle stop, floored it, blowing his horn the whole way, banked up along the edge right in front of the, library, and squeezed in a little space left, and just kept on going. Hurt.
Yeah.
You can't put up enough signs to stop people like that.
No.
They're gonna do it.
The corner's insane.
Anything else, Cheryl?
No, but thanks for asking.
Chris, you got anything?
For the time being, we've wrapped up on Brown Road. I'd like to get back there before the snow flies to finish up a couple small little things. We did a bunch of ditch work, it looks great, plenty of room to push snow, plenty of room for the water to go. I'm still gonna do the paving on the culverts and stuff, but I've got a couple more that I wanna do as well at the same time. The 21 International is back down to Allegiance. There's more waves in the leaf spring than the ocean has. On the upside, it should be all 100% under warranty because they just replaced everything in February. The rear end for the 09 has been ordered, and I've been told that it'll be here Thursday. The mechanic shop over in Cornish will have an opening as soon as it gets here. He says he'll get it in just as quick as he can. So we should have both of those hopefully back, I'm hoping within a week or so. The 21 I was really hoping to have back sooner, but that hasn't happened yet. As you saw on your way here, at least a couple of you did, our grader sitting on the side of 107 broke down again.
So what happened to that? Did it just?
I can go about 2 minutes and the hydraulics just cut out. I have no driving, no levers, no nothing, it just stops. Runs great, the motor runs like a top, runs phenomenal. The hydraulics do not. Then I shut it down, you can wait 2 or 3 minutes, start it back up, you can get another 2 or 3 minutes.
That sounds like a filter.
Which I've replaced and doesn't do it. From what I've gathered by talking to one of the mechanics over in Wyndham and a few other people, it's leaning more towards the hydraulic pump, just being worn out, which doesn't surprise me. It's had a lot of use. It came from a used construction company. I mean, it's old. It's had a good life. If we're gonna give it a little love and a little tender care, we'll do what we have to. So we'll tear into that when I get time. The excavator is amazing that we rented. I wish it was a little bit bigger, but it is amazing. Saves so much time, and you can do so much more with it. And other than that, we're still waiting for the hydraulic ram from backhoe, because that's still in the shop.
Now, when you said that excavator you rented, I expected something bigger.
Yeah.
I mean, it's like.
Yeah, it's not very big, and it's not the size I wanted. It's actually 2 sizes smaller than the one I wanted, but I couldn't get my hands on the one I wanted.
Yeah.
That's the size that they had available that I could get. If I wanted to wait a week or 2, I could get another one, maybe, possibly, they didn't know. So that's what I said, yes, we'll take it, and it does a pretty good job for a little machine. I'm a little impressed.
Yeah.
I mean, I've always been impressed with Takuchi anyways, but I can dump into the 7-yard truck without too much problems. I can take out of the 7-yard truck without any problems. If you get a fair moment, you can drive up Brown Road, go up from 113 to Saddleback and check out what we did get done.
Yeah.
In about a week.
Did they bring you a new bucket? 'Cause
They have not brought me a new bucket. They
They
called me
said the bucket
yesterday.
was broken?
They called me today and said they'll be here tomorrow morning, hopefully. The bucket fell apart on the excavator. It's hard. It's a rental, we don't have to worry about it.
Yeah, you only rented that for the end of the month?
I rented it for a month, so it was supposed to go back on October 11th. And I actually told them I'd take it for another month.
Yeah.
Because it's still handy, and when I talked to the hydraulic place that has our cylinder for the backhoe, he said it's still gonna be 3 or 4 weeks, and that was last Friday, I think. So I was like, I'm not dealing with it, we're just gonna do it, and for the little money that it costs the government to rent the machine, it's worth every penny, and then some.
Yeah.
So, did we get that done? Great. Other than that, I think that's about it for me. I hope. Unless you have any questions. Well, I was gonna let you bring it up, but I'll bring it up. When we were doing the culvert up on Brown Road, we were looking at the duck pond, which you guys will know.
Yeah.
Up to, I don't know, whatever it is, 196, 132 Brown Road.
Yeah.
And there's a fair amount of water that flows into that all the time.
It's a river.
It's not a river, it's a runoff, it runs off nicely. And one of the things we thought about looking into was potentially putting a hydrant into it. Getting somebody up there, dig it out, put a hydrant into it and whatnot.
That'd be excellent.
It gives a great soft water source for everyone above it and everyone up on Saddleback. It's amazing how full it stays all the time.
Well,
I know it's been a wet year.
Yeah.
I'd like to see what it does next year if it's drier.
Yeah.
But I think it would be a really good opportunity for us as far as the towns for fire protection and
What
whatnot.
is the homeowner, what do the homeowners say about, cause
I haven't talked to him. I talked to her and she said, talk to him, but I don't have a problem with it. I think it's not a bad idea.
I was just thinking about the history of the water supply part, cause we went through a real drought period.
Yeah.
So, I mean, if it was full during a real dry spell, then that would be a better indication.
Yeah, and I haven't had a chance to sit down with him because he works away a lot. I'd like to talk to him about it. I have his number, I should call him, but I was bringing it to the select board / fire chief before I went too deep into it.
You know, where you can find water that's reliable, I would say, often in.
I'm with you on that.
Yeah, especially in that area.
It's just gonna benefit the homeowner's insurance rates, the way to sell it.
Yeah.
It's gonna help your homeowner's insurance. That's true too.
Usually homeowners involved in it, something like that, and water source right there at the house.
Right.
Yep.
Well, they should get a pretty big discount if they agree to it.
Right.
That's a selling point.
So, yeah, that's all I have. I'm good.
Maybe, anything? Robert, anything? Bob?
Yeah, you folks saw the email reply from David Laurie on 79 Fisher Road.
Yeah, what's going on with that? Is it the bank is?
Well, the bank, last year said that he thought by late this year there would be a foreclosure, but it looks like it's put off at least a couple more months.
Versus a year.
Yeah.
So then that, are we gonna wait and see what's gonna happen with that?
I don't know. I went into the probate court records because the bank asked to have a special agent assigned just for the purpose of the foreclosure.
Oh, yeah.
They sent letters to the occupants and his sister didn't answer it, didn't look at it. They sent them by registered and standard mail, and there was no response whatsoever. There was no reply to a notice of, we're gonna have a special meeting on date X, to talk about this. They didn't show up, they didn't reply. maybe Lori's comment was, I'm not sure that there's gonna get a lot of traction sending them a notice of violation, but I don't know that that's necessarily a reason to stop us from doing something. I'll talk to him about it. I'll call him on the phone and see. It might be that we send them a notice, hold a public hearing, and find them in violation.
Yep.
If they don't show up, they don't show up.
They probably sound like they won't.
And my belief is, the next time something happens up there, that's the second notice that they get.
Yeah.
They're in the house.
Yeah.
Might get somebody's attention.
I don't know about that group,
Well, they really have
They're showing potential.
They don't have any skin in the game right now.
No, it's all right.
Anyway, that's all.
Dale, Gary? I'm all set. Any motion to adjourn?
Don't move.
Second? All in favor?
Historical Society is on Wednesday, that's tomorrow,
Oh, yeah.
over at the library.
Oh,
They're
okay.
talking about Maddox again.
Oh, really?
Yeah.